Hey everybody, I want to talk about this video I came across of Ben Folds.
We are joined by multi-platinum pianist, alternative rock singer, songwriter, and producer Ben Folds. Mr. Folds, welcome.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to talk about this video I came across of Ben Folds. I've been a big fan of his. I gotta say, I've been to his concert a few times, and he's an amazing performer. And I've never seen anyone get the crowd so into the show, especially with singing, and never heard a crowd sing so beautiful. And I think that that's all due to Ben Folds and his ability to engage with the audience and have a great time. It was a really fun concert. I'm sure that there's a lot of artists now that talk a lot about their thoughts on everything, and I get it. We are all very passionate, and I think Ben Folds is very passionate about what he believes in, what he believes to be true. This is Ben Folds. He was an advisor, creative advisor at the Kennedy Center, where Trump has kind of taken over reins there. And I can agree that Trump probably isn't the best creative mind for an art center. I don't know much about the Kennedy Center. I know it's very, very prestigious. Let's just go through some of Ben Folds' arguments here.
You spent 8 years as the artistic advisor for the National Symphony Orchestra at the Kennedy Center, in a role that I understand that you loved. You've been credited with creating an innovative concert series that blended modern and classical music. And media reports say that you stepped down because you felt the center had become too politicized. What was the message you were trying to send regarding artistic freedom?
Well, we were a little bit on the front of this assault on freedom of expression, weren't we? I mean, it wasn't as easy for the administration to steamroller, late night comedians, for instance. But it's the same idea: is to commandeer and muzzle and own and use the arts and the arts institutions only when they serve your political purpose. It's called propaganda.
I think this is an interesting point. He talks about silencing and how the administration has silenced late night. These talk shows are still on the air, and no one is silencing them. It seems like, I'm not a big fan of politicians telling late night or companies how to run their business. I'm skeptical of if any of these late night hosts or these shows make money. I don't know how they are on the air still, but I feel like Trump didn't have such a heavy hand in silencing as Ben Folds alleges here. And I think that you can make a good argument that Trump should stay out of things like that. But at the same time, I mean, people were pretty outraged with what Jimmy Kimmel had said, and I think I forget what happened with Colbert. I know he got his contract ended, and I can't remember exactly. I don't think it was the Charlie Kirk stuff. I think it was something before that. He talks about it being propaganda, and let's see what he says about propaganda.
It was obvious that was what was happening. So I couldn't be a part of it. So the message is I can't be part of it, but it's a complicated message, that the musicians, for instance, of the National Symphony Orchestra, they don't work for the Kennedy Center. They are the National Symphony Orchestra, and that's their home with long-standing contract.
I think it's interesting he talks about propaganda, and I hate to point fingers. As soon as they show this clip of him leading the orchestra here, they're wearing masks, and there's always the debate during COVID of masks and all that has come out recently, and I think a lot of us knew at the time that the mask did nothing, and it was just to signal that you are going along with things. And I don't like that. I don't like being told what to do, which I'm sure Ben Folds would feel the same way. That's probably, it's kind of, he's arguing the same thing, but he talks about propaganda, and people like Colbert would propagandize during their show all the time with the vaccine, and then Jimmy Kimmel. And I don't know about the others. These are just clips I remember seeing. Again, I'm only speaking from clips of seeing these shows because I fell off I tried Colbert a little bit after Letterman retired, and it just wasn't. I loved the Colbert Report. It was an awesome show. I knew he was making fun of conservatives, and at the time I was pretty checked out from politics. And, you know, I still can laugh at Trump, even though I do like him. And that's just my own personal feeling towards him. I don't care what other people think. I don't want to silence anyone. I don't want to silence Ben Folds. He should talk and give his opinion if he wants to. He might lose some people.
I don't expect them to take the same sort of stand as me. They have to make a living doing that. But I'm a known musician, known quantity, and my staying there had to be framed in their terms as I'm on the side of partisan politics. People who stay here are with the administration, and the right wing. People who leave, you know, are our enemies. It's not the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, he's right. That's not how it's supposed to work. I think that he's making a mistake by thinking that anyone would assume that he's in partisan politics with Trump. He doesn't have to be. And I don't think anyone's going to think he's a supporter of Trump. I mean, we kind of get Ben Folds' politics, and that's fine. Who cares? He makes great music. He's a great musician. He's great at entertaining, and he brings people that might not ever go to a orchestra into a orchestra concert besides Christmas. You know, everyone loves going to Christmas orchestra.
The Trump administration says that the Kennedy Center had been poorly managed and that performances had become too woke. In your opinion, was the programming there representative of what Americans wanted to see?
I have no idea about Kennedy Center's woke programming. I can't speak to that. That's not my point here. I would assume that most of the arts that I follow, I love arts and museums and contemporary art and strange stuff. I love the weird films, foreign films, and I know that it's left leaning, and I like Godard and a lot of the filmmakers who are very left wing. They make great art, and I think people can enjoy it, and you know, maybe even learn something that maybe a fresh perspective that they might not have thought before.
Well, I mean, if they just want to be capitalistic about it, and we're just talking business, their numbers are abysmal. They've never been that bad before, except for last time Trump was president. But yeah, they've hit all-time lows.
That might be a little bit hard for him to speak on because COVID shut down everything, especially places that pushed for mask wearing and were afraid of COVID, which there was a total overreaction.
Numbers are abysmal. They've never been that bad.
He talks about capitalism versus whatever else. I'm not sure what label he would put on it. Yeah, it does come down to numbers. He said that the Kennedy Center hasn't been doing good since Trump started doing this. I don't know.
Yeah, they've hit all-time lows. They're not able to sell tickets there now. They obviously don't know about arts administration and why people go to shows and why people aren't. I hate that their sort of vague, unverified talking points are made as some sort of argument. They're not true. Those none of those statements are true.
At least so far, he hasn't really given an example. He just kind of is othering and saying, "Oh, they don't know art," which, you know, Trump doesn't. You know, he's not a very artistic kind of guy. I think like this could be a great opportunity to figure out how to come together, and art can do that. It can change people's minds, and I think Ben Folds is really missing the point here of like he shouldn't just step away from this. He can reach out. I'm sure he has a lot of fans who are conservative, and it's okay to disagree, and he might be able to change some minds.
The woke stuff, I don't know what they mean. America is a diverse place. No child should go to a performance and not at some point, or go to see art out and not see themselves represented on stage.
This point is something that gets a lot of people pulled into this movement of woke, and he doesn't he's heard the word woke, but I don't think he understands. Just because you have good intentions of it doesn't mean everyone in that movement has good intentions. He talks about how you want to have diversity, but then it's pushed so hard, and it's being like, okay, these Native Americans, these Black people, and their experience, and they have a better experience to share than white people do, or Asians, or this or that, and they only use people when they're convenient for their message. If an artist is good, let their work show for itself. If people want to come see a white person perform, let them perform. People don't have to see themselves up on stage. Everyone has an experience, and I think that they're really missing the point here with not understanding woke. I think that they need to really look at that and see that it's pushing it too far. I think Ben Folds has good intentions. I used to feel this way about diversity and like having more people from different cultures and men and women and this and that, and people just get kind of sucked into these movements, and I don't think it's good, and I think Ben Folds doesn't see it fully for what it is.
You know, the representation of what's on stage should mirror the general diversity and, you know, and the demographic. And that's the responsibility of an arts institution that is for the people, by the people, is to represent the people, you know. And so in that way, you know, I think we were doing the best that we could, and that's all you can do. And I don't know what they're doing there now, but whatever they're doing there now is not even coming close to breaking even. They're finding themselves playing for 20-30%.
Well, I'd say to that, if they're playing for less people, I don't know what is true, and I take his word. But if that's how it is, then let it play out. Ben Folds talks about wanting other voices. Well, this is a chance for maybe some other voices, and the right doesn't always have the best artists, or it's not a cool thing to be conservative. It might be a nice opportunity for people to see that there can be good art done by conservatives.
I know you've been an advocate for the arts. What should be done, in your opinion, to maintain free speech in the arts?
Well, people have to use it. We have to use our expression. I come from the shut up and sing generation. You know, it's like we were concerned, and I'm not proud of it for my generation. We were concerned that if we expressed ourselves completely, that, you know, we would be, you know, boycotted. Or I think that you just have to express yourself. That's the main thing. You know, we can get politically involved if we want to, or if we don't want to. But expression in itself, we're finding, it's not a given. You know, you don't necessarily have that right. The idea, when it comes to, you know, historically, when it comes to how politics is involved, is they want to muzzle and commandeer the top of that. So if you can silence Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon, and then you can silence and muzzle the media, all these ways of expressing and communicating with people, then it becomes very difficult for the rest of us on the ground to do it. We don't know if it's safe. You don't know if you look to your left and to your right, if you're going to get assaulted for it or put in jail. These are real concerns.
I think some of his points are accurate, and but he misses that it's a lot of left and right pointing at each other, accusing of the same thing. I believe that over the last few years, that conservatives have been silenced. We act like, for myself, but we've been banned off of YouTube, Twitter. Liberals see it as that's righteous to do, because they see anything that isn't lockstep with them is wrong, and they think that if you don't sign up for all of it, then you're not for it at all. It's been said many times with the violence, and I don't want anything to happen to Ben Folds or anyone on the left. A lot of them have good intentions. They're just not aware, or they're not informed like I think that they should be. They don't have to be a big news nerd and follow every little thing. He brings up Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel. They were very outspoken about their disdain for the other side, and they can have that disdain, but there's going to be pushback on that, and they keep ratcheting it up more and more. And I think that's really messed up, the kinds of things that they say. And I haven't seen that from Ben Folds necessarily. So I think that's great. If, like you said, shut up and play and shut up and sing. And art and artists, musicians, I can see that actors and musicians, they can't speak very well. Sometimes in the acting and the music, the songwriting, the only avenue you have is your art to express yourself. And I can say that there's things that I can say in art that I can't say with just words talking to someone. I feel like I can convince people through art and words in a song. I think there is something good to just shut up and sing, shut up and play. It's not because I want to silence you, but it's because that's the medium that you're best at. And I think that it's good to reflect on yourself and know that you are better at giving your message and persuading people through song or art rather than trying to convince people with words.
So we think, it can't happen to us, and you're seeing it happen in real time. The Kennedy Center was at the tip of this, and not enough people understood how serious it was.
Yeah, my last point is Ben Folds, he's not perfect, of course. I feel like the only way he's going to learn, he's on the wrong side here. His opinion of this is a little bit skewed. He's going to get himself into trouble with his own side. It's not going to come from conservatives, or as he would see it, like the other side. That's why there's so many, they're called disaffected liberals on Team Trump or whatever, you want to call it. There's a reason for that. Even for myself, I wasn't a liberal, but I had leanings that I was like, okay, yeah, gay marriage, this or that. Or I'm not a fan of Trump. In 2016, I didn't really care. I was so tired of politics. When I saw some of this interview, I was thinking about how Ben Folds, he has some songs that, all you can eat. Like it's kind of funny to listen to now. Like it used to be okay to talk about fat people because you're just making fun of conservatives and these country people and these rednecks going to Walmart, just making fun of all this gluttonous lifestyle. Starting a few years ago, it was not okay to talk about fat people because fat pride, fat is beautiful, don't tell me it's unhealthy. All this stuff came out, and he has a song that talks about fat people, and apparently it's okay when you're just a dumb redneck. I think it's an interesting song, and I don't agree with it. I think it was like during the Bush years, it was okay at the time to dog on Bush. It's always okay to make fun of conservatives, and I think Ben Folds might find himself in some trouble one day, and it totally won't be conservatives, because I don't think conservatives really care. As hard as he gets out there to fight for the cause, he will find out he's not immune to the leftist rage for things he's done in the past. That's what happens. The sins are brought back to light always. I'm excited to see opportunities by Trump taking over the Kennedy Center or whatever is happening there, and I hope not. It will spark some unity with people to come together and make art together or celebrate art together, because I think it's really important. So I wish Ben Folds luck. I hope to see him again in concert. It really was one of the best shows. The Luckiest is one of the best written songs. I mean, that whole album is one of the top albums, I think. The singles he put out where All You Can Eat is on there, and there's a couple really cool songs on those EPs that he released after Rocking the Suburbs. Thanks for watching. You can subscribe on YouTube. Nick Oberg Show. You can subscribe to me on X at Nick Oberg. Thanks and have a good day.